The story begins with a moment of transition. After the passing of his father in 1999, a relatively unknown leader stepped into a role that many believed would be difficult to sustain. At that time, the church had a steady but modest following of around 6,000 attendees. Expectations were uncertain, and some assumed the congregation might shrink without its longtime leader. Instead, what followed was something few anticipated. Over the next several years, the church experienced rapid and consistent growth. Attendance multiplied, eventually reaching tens of thousands each week. What had once been a local place of worship began to evolve into something far larger, reaching beyond its physical walls. This expansion wasn't just about numbers. It reflected a shift in how ministry could function in a modern world. The message resonated with many people who were searching for hope, motivation, and direction. But with that kind of growth came increased attention, and attention inevitably brings deeper examination. The power of a modern message. At the heart of this growth was a message that felt different from traditional preaching styles. Instead of focusing on fear or judgment, the sermons emphasized hope, confidence, and personal growth. The idea was simple: speak positively, believe in better outcomes, and expect good things in life. For many, this approach felt refreshing and uplifting. It aligned with a broader cultural shift towards self-improvement and mental positivity. The delivery also played a significant role. Messages were carefully structured, concise, and easy to understand, making them accessible to a wide audience. This wasn't just preaching, it was communication designed for a modern media-driven world. People who might not have connected with traditional religious teachings found something relatable here. However, while supporters saw encouragement and inspiration, critics began to question whether the message was too simplified. They wondered if it overlooked deeper struggles and complexities that people face. Still, the appeal of optimism remained strong, drawing millions into its reach. Building a platform beyond the church growth did not happen by chance. A major factor was the strategic use of media. Television broadcasts expanded the reach far beyond the physical congregation, allowing millions to engage with the message from their homes. The production quality improved over time, with thoughtful set design and carefully timed sermons that fit neatly into broadcast schedules. This approach transformed the church into a global platform. It wasn't just about Sunday services anymore. It became a continuous presence in people's lives. Books also played a key role. Several titles became bestsellers, reaching audiences who might never step inside a church. These books reinforced the same themes of positivity and personal growth, extending the message into everyday life. As a result, the influence grew steadily. What started as a local ministry became an international brand. While this expansion brought success, it also raised important questions about the balance between ministry and media. Was the focus still primarily spiritual, or had it become something broader? The move to a larger stage, one of the most defining moments in this journey, was the move to a much larger venue. Transforming a former sports arena into a place of worship symbolized the scale the church had reached. The renovation required significant investment and effort, but it created a space capable of holding thousands of people at once. When the doors opened, the response was immediate. Every seat was filled, and millions more watched from afar. This new setting reflected ambition and vision. It showed that the church was no longer limited by traditional boundaries. Instead, it embraced a larger identity, blending faith with production, community, and outreach. For many attendees, the experience felt inspiring and energizing. However, the size and grandeur also drew attention. Some began to question whether such scale aligned with the core values of humility, often associated with faith. Others saw it as a natural evolution in a changing world. Either way, the move marked a turning point in how the church was perceived. Financial growth and public curiosity. As the church expanded, so did its financial footprint. With a large annual budget supporting operations, media production, and events, the organization functioned on a scale similar to major institutions. This level of growth naturally sparked curiosity about how resources were allocated. While summaries of financial activity were shared, detailed disclosures were limited, which is not uncommon for religious organizations. Supporters argued that the funds were being used to spread the message globally, especially through television and digital platforms. Critics, however, questioned whether enough was being directed toward direct community support and outreach. The conversation wasn't just about numbers, it was about perception and trust. When people see success on a large scale, they often expect a clear connection between resources and impact. Without full transparency, questions can grow. This doesn't necessarily indicate wrongdoing, but it does highlight the importance of openness, especially for organizations that rely on public trust and support. Moments that shift. Public perception over time. Certain events brought increased scrutiny. Situations that might have once gone unnoticed began to attract widespread attention. In today's connected world, public perception can change quickly, especially when information spreads across social media. Some moments led to criticism, while others prompted reflection and discussion. These instances didn't define the entire organization, but they contributed to a broader narrative. People began to look more closely at how decisions were made and how the church responded during challenging situations. In many ways, this reflects a larger cultural shift. Audiences today expect accountability and responsiveness from public figures and institutions. They want to see not just success, but also responsibility. For a large and visible organization, this level of scrutiny becomes part of its reality. It's not necessarily a negative thing. It can also be an opportunity to grow, adapt, and strengthen trust over time. Balancing image and impact. One of the ongoing challenges has been balancing public image with meaningful impact. A strong, polished presentation can attract attention and inspire people, but it can also create distance if it feels too perfect. In an era where authenticity is highly valued, audiences often look for transparency and vulnerability. They want to connect with real experiences, not just ideal outcomes. For a ministry built on positivity, this can be a delicate balance. Emphasizing hope is important, but so is acknowledging struggle. When people face difficult circumstances, they often seek understanding as much as encouragement. The question then becomes, how can a message remain uplifting while still being grounded in reality? This is not an easy balance to achieve, but it is an important one. Organizations that navigate this well tend to build deeper, more lasting connections with their audiences. Resilience in the face of challenges. Despite moments of criticism and changing expectations, the organization has shown resilience. Attendance remains strong, and the message continues to reach millions of people. This suggests that, for many, the core message still holds value. Resilience doesn't mean avoiding challenges, it means adapting and continuing forward. Every large institution faces periods of questioning and change. What matters is how those moments are handled. Openness, reflection, and a willingness to grow can turn challenges into opportunities. In this sense, resilience is not just about maintaining success, but about evolving in response to new realities. A broader conversation about faith and culture. The discussion surrounding this ministry is part of a larger conversation about faith in modern culture. As society changes, so do expectations around leadership, communication, and accountability. People are asking deeper questions about purpose, authenticity, and impact. This isn't limited to one organization. It's a reflection of a broader shift. In many ways, this moment presents an opportunity for growth and renewal. By engaging with these questions, institutions can better understand the needs and perspectives of the communities they serve. This kind of dialogue can lead to stronger connections and more meaningful impact. Looking ahead with reflection. Looking forward, the path ahead is not just about maintaining numbers or influence, it's about staying relevant in a changing world. This requires reflection, adaptability, and a willingness to listen. The message of hope and encouragement still resonates, but it may need to evolve in how it is expressed. Balancing optimism with authenticity, scale with connection, and success with service will be key. These are not easy challenges, but they are important ones. The future will likely be shaped by how well these elements come together. The ongoing question of relevance. In the end, the central question is not whether the organization will continue to exist. It likely will. The deeper question is about relevance. Can a message built on positivity and abundance continue to connect in a world that is increasingly complex and uncertain? The answer may depend on how that message grows and adapts. Relevance is not static. It requires continuous effort and awareness. By staying connected to the realities people face while offering genuine hope, there is potential for lasting impact. The story is still unfolding, and its next chapter will be shaped by both challenges and opportunities.